What's up YouTube? My name is Caden and you're watching Gas at Garage. Today we are going to be engine swapping my brother's go-kart. Currently it has a Predator 420 in it that does not run, and we are going to be swapping in a Briggs and Stratton 16 horsepower Vanguard V-twin engine. This is going to be awesome. Enjoy the video. Alright guys, we are putting this engine in that go-kart. We've got a Predator 420 in here that does not run, and I cannot get this thing running to save my life. I have replaced every part I can think of on this thing: carburetor, piston rings, ignition coil, airbox, exhaust, air filter, you name it. I've replaced pretty much every single part I can think of in this engine, and it still will not run. So we bought a 16 horsepower Briggs and Stratton Vanguard V-twin engine that we're going to throw in this thing, and it should make this thing a whole lot more powerful, a whole lot faster, and a lot more fun. So this thing is going to be really awesome. We have to get this thing running, and I have to build a new exhaust for it because currently the exhaust blows forward, which is a bit of an issue. And something that's going to be interesting is we have a tapered shaft on this engine, and I want to install a torque converter on this thing, so I'm going to have to weld on a custom adapter to be able to do that. So let's start things off by disconnecting the chain, throttle, kill switch, and fuel line from this old engine and unbolting it from the frame and getting the V-twin mocked up in here. Alright guys, so the engine is just sitting in here right now, and I did order a torque converter for this thing, but since I'm going to be building the jackshaft that the secondary pulley is going to sit on, I can't actually mount the engine until I know exactly where that thing is going to sit and where my chain alignment is going to be. And I can't figure out my chain alignment until we put this new sprocket on here. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so I've run into a bit of an issue here. The sprocket I bought does not exactly line up with this hub on here. The holes are not in the right spot, and this center hole is way too small to fit this piece. However, I do have this sprocket. This is for 50 chain, this one is for 420, and this is the sprocket that was actually originally on this go-kart when we first got it. So what I'll do is just, instead of doing this sprocket, I'll put this sprocket on here, and I'll just have to run 50 chain instead of 420, which will actually probably work better considering the fact that I already have this. This is a 1-inch Jackshaft with a number 50 chain sprocket on there that I can use. Now I will have to grind this down to fit a 7/8 bore in the torque converter that we got, because 7/8 is the largest driven pulley torque converter size that they sell. So I'm gonna have to kind of jank it together a little bit, but it's going to work, hopefully. And then once the torque converter gets here, then I can start putting together the mounts for the jack shaft and the engine. All right, so I just finished grinding down this 1-inch shaft to 7/8 to be able to fit this driven pulley right here. And what I did was I basically clamped the bearings in the vise to turn this into kind of a super janky lathe. But I mean, it actually worked pretty well because I was able to get a pretty even width on this shaft. So now it fits the pulley just fine, like that. There is just a little bit of play in it, but I think it should be fine. And then I also ground in that keyway off camera. So now I can build some mounts for this in the go-kart over there and get the engine mounted, get the belt on, and get the chain on. And then we can go from there trying to get the engine running and making the adapter to put the driver clutch on. right, so I just got the engine mounted, and I want to mount this jack shaft right here with the CVT secondary pulley on it. But in order to do that, I need to have the primary pulley on this shaft, and I can't do that until I make the adapter for this tapered shaft. But in order to do that, I need to have this engine running so I can start the engine up, and once I weld the piece on, I'm going to run the engine so I can grind it down and it'll be perfectly round, almost like a lathe. So we need to get this engine running in order to do that. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so I did cut the muffler off of this thing because it's going to need to be out of the way in order to fit the CVT in there. So if this thing does start up, it's going to be very loud because it's completely straight piped. But I've got fuel hooked up to it, so let's see if this thing will start up. Alright, I'm going to see if it'll start on some hot sauce. This isn't starting spray, but it's very flammable, so hopefully it'll work. Oh yeah. Oh. My brother's here too. He's the one who bought this engine, so he's kind of excited to hear it start.
I'm putting ear protection on.
Yeah, this thing's pretty loud. I might do the same. All right, let's do it again. He sounds good.
That is stupid loud.
Sounds like a V-twin. I love the sound of V-twins. All right, so I probably have to clean the carburetor in order to get this engine to run on gasoline, but I don't have any carb spray right now. So for the time being, I need to replace this rim on the front wheel here because the old one on here, I did try and weld it back together, but it is cracked in multiple places and it's not really safe to use anymore. So for right now, let's go ahead and get this tire swapped over onto the new rim. I went out and bought some carb spray, so let's go ahead and remove this air box, remove the carburetor, and get it clean. Alright, so I just popped open this carburetor and a ton of this dust fell out of it, which is not a good sign. And it means that this engine has not run in quite a while. So this carburetor is looking pretty bad right now, but it's still hopefully salvageable. So I'm going to try and clean it out as best I can to get it working properly so this engine will run. So not sure how good I'm going to get this thing, but I'll try my best. Alright, so after looking at this thing a little bit further, this is probably one of the worst carburetors I've ever seen. Another one being the carburetor that was on the log splitter that I did a while back. I'll put a clip of that in right here. So as you can see, that other one was pretty bad also. But this one, since it has a lot of rust and a pretty severe amount of corrosion in it, what I'm probably going to end up doing is just go out and buy some Simple Green HD Pro, which is the carb cleaner solution that they have. And I'm going to soak this overnight in that stuff, and it should break up all this nasty, crusty, just grossness in here. And it should make this carburetor completely clean and usable again. And I'm also going to soak the lid as well. So I'm going to go out and buy some of that, soak this thing overnight, and then hopefully we can reassemble this thing and throw it back on the engine and get this thing to run. Alright, so I bought some Simple Green Pro HD, which is actually purple, funny enough. So I'm now going to soak these two carburetor parts in this solution here for about, 10 minutes, and we will see what happens. All right, so now that I got the carburetor put back on and it's all clean, now we can try and start this thing up. I can't remember which way is choke, so I'm just going to try both. Nice. Looks like there's a little bit of oil in the header. So it looks like I will have to wire up a kill switch on this thing because there isn't one. But this thing runs really, really good. That's a really good sign. Looks like that simple green stuff I bought works really, really well. So now that we got that done, in the next video of this project, I'm going to build the adapter that's going to go on the drive shaft right there, so I can adapt it from a tapered shaft to a solid 1-inch shaft, so I can put on this onto here, because right now it's just has a ton of play in it and it just doesn't work very well because it's a tapered shaft. So that'll have to be for the next video of this project because I am out of time to film this week. So thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And I'll see you in part 2.